When you start to discuss the schools of thought in second language acquisition, a good starting point would be structuralism back in maybe the 20s and the 30s, where language was viewed as basically a set of rules, a set of language rules that a language has, the structures, and which it is, but when we use language, we don't always consciously refer to all those rules as we see with our first language. And if you combine that with a learning method of behaviorism, which is the concept that we learn just by repeating and drilling something over and over again, and it becomes a habit, basically, then you end up getting a traditional and kind of dry foreign language method, which involves studying the grammar, talking about the grammar, usually not even in the target language, but just in your language, and then going through different drills in order to, memorize the grammar. And this began to be questioned by Noam Chomsky and others in the 60s and 70s, realizing that the language is much more complex than just learning the rules and applying them, that it seems to involve language use seems to involve a subconscious process of being able to communicate and use the language, and not a continual reference to what's the rule for that. It becomes this subconscious process. So there was an effort to make the second language learning classroom much more like how we learned our first language, kind of a natural process where we are using the language for real communication. We're answering questions about what is our opinion and what are the reasons that we believe that. And just by being in meaningful communicative environments, we can use the language. I mean, we can still study grammar and analyze the language, but because language use is so complex that we really shouldn't even attempt to learn it in a very simplistic, linear, step-by-step fashion. And that leads to rationalism and cognitive views of language and language learning. And then that would lead to constructivism, which is similar to rationalism in that we're using the language mainly to just be part of a culture and part of a community. And so that would affect the language learning methods in that we want students to have tasks to perform and work in groups, work collaboratively with others, and really putting language in like more of the idea of maybe constructing meaning, constructing the reality that's around you. And so that again, that's like an overview of the schools of thought of second language learning, and what's really by the 1980s developed into a lot of real natural type methods, communicative methods, and which makes the classroom and the learning process a lot more interesting than just studying grammar and drilling it. And so we're happy, that these philosophies have had such an impact on our teaching.